24th chapter, verse 6, it reads, "Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate." Here we read in Revelation, when it's begin to reveal the reform, the change that is to take place on this planet. It reads, "And no longer shall there be any curse. And the throne of God, or Elohim, and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him." Well, what was this curse that took place? The earth was plagued, the inhabitants. Why? Everything has a cause and effect. Okay? We talked about capitalism, and many people really don't quite understand the destruction of capitalism. How it has degenerated the earth, even morals, people. Okay? I want to read further out of this book, The Ecology of Commerce. The Ecology of Commerce. Okay? And it's talking about the change that the corporations or the capitalists must take. A change that is inevitable. It's going to take place. However, it's going to be done against the will of the capitalists today. Their system is going to have to fall out. All right? And it will fall out. That's what the Bible prophesies about. Their system is going to drop out. Okay? Their system is going to drop out. There's going to be a great war and a race of resources. Most High willing, we will be able to expound on these subjects in the days and telecasts to come. However, it reads here, standing in the way of change, our corporations, or properly capitalists, okay? Standing in the way of change, our corporations, or capitalists, who want to continue worldwide deforestation and build coal-fired plants, power plants, who see the storage or dumping of billions of tons of waste as a plausible strategy for the future. Given current corporate practices, not one wildlife reserve, wilderness, or indigenous culture will survive. See, what we have to understand is how destructive this force of capitalism is. The indigenous people who dwell in the lands and the inhabitants that dwell in these lands and their cultures won't survive this global market economy. Okay? I'm going to read it again. Given current corporate practices, not one wildlife reserve, wilderness, or indigenous culture will survive the global market economy. We know that every natural system on the planet is disintegrating. This is what's known. The natural system on this planet is disintegrating. The land, water, air, and sea have been functionally transformed from life-supporting systems into repositories for waste. There is no polite way to say that business, or capitalism now, is destroying the world. Is destroying the world. Capitalism, corporate business is destroying wilderness, indigenous cultures, wildlife reserves, the land, the water, the air, the sea. They have transformed life-supporting systems into repositories for toxic waste. That's why the Revelator spoke of reform. In order for these corporations to do what they have done, they have broken the everlasting covenant. All right? They have transgressed the laws and broken the Torah, which was given to mankind. And in effect, they are destroying this world. Isaiah seen the destruction of the earth, planet Earth, and its inhabitants. John the Revelator also seen the reform that is to take place when the curse shall be revoked. Now the thing is, who's going to be on the side of reform and who's going to fall with the old world? Now notice this. See, capitalism, anyone who gets in the way That's why it says here, standing in the way of change are corporations who want to continue worldwide deforestation and build coal-fired power plants, and who seek to storage or dump billions of tons of toxic waste. And they think that's plausible for the future. Anyone who gets in the way of these corporations, big corporations, they want to use the military, they want to use the police, or the power of this beastly system, the powers of this beastly system, to remove them, to confront them with all hostility, to remove them off this face of the earth by even death. Here, I'm going to show you a clip here of just a glimpse of the tyranny or the injustices of corporations using their military to destroy those who are seeking justice, even when they work in their corporations. You know, they're being given starvation wages. All right, those who try to stand up for just even a living wage. Let known those who try to stand up for sustainability for this planet Earth are being killed, assaulted. All right, here, this clip here on just how the corporations, how deep that evil and wickedness go.
In the 16th century, the conquistadors arrived in Latin America from Spain and Portugal. They exploited the people and the resources and became very wealthy. Today, the sweatshops, the World Bank, and IMF exploit Latin America's people and resources. They enrich corporations and government officials. They are the new conquistadors. These new conquistadors need the military, the men with the guns, to protect their wealth and power. That's where the School of the Americas comes in.
After they graduate, these newly trained military officials will go back to the Latin American countries, and they'll be used as union busters in the most extreme sense of the phrase. Thousands of unions throughout Latin America have disappeared, they've been tortured, and they've been murdered for trying to improve the conditions of their fellow workers.
Women in Central American sweatshops produce much of the clothing worn in the United States, clothing made for U.S. corporations. Sweatshops use child labor, fire pregnant women, force workers to put in overtime at starvation wages. Women who try to organize unions meet harsh retaliation.
The School of the Americas currently trains the militaries that are repressing the unionization of the workers in these sweatshop factories. That repression will not end until the School of the Americas stops legitimizing that process.
America's new immigrants were essential to keeping up the productivity of the nation's factories, mills, farms, and railroads. But these laborers had to work long hours at low wages, often under harsh working conditions. During economic downturns, companies often recovered their losses by cutting wages or doubling workloads. And in 1877, railroad workers angry about wage cuts halted rail traffic in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Their strike spread to cities in Pennsylvania, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and beyond, and only lost momentum when President Hayes sent federal troops to stop them. This was the first nationwide strike in American history.
They demonstrated just what the potential power of labor was, and this was frightening to a lot of people who were afraid of labor having power.
Thus began a period of intense conflict between labor and business. Strikes and protests continued throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries, some of them violent. In Chicago in 1886, during a protest calling for an 8-hour workday, 2 strikers were killed by police. Days later, German-born labor activist August Spies spoke out at the Haymarket Square meeting, denouncing the brutal police actions.
They killed the poor wretches because they, like you, had the courage to disobey the supreme will of your bosses. They killed them to show you free American citizens that you must be satisfied with whatever your bosses condescend to allow you, or you will get killed. If you are men, then you will rise in your might and destroy the hideous monster that seeks to destroy
Now,
you.
we're going to look at other clips. But we see here, I want to go further here. This book is the Ecology of Commerce. 100 years ago, industrial cities were coated with grime and cut off from the sun by permanent palls of smoke. The citizens were beset by disease. The very conditions under which workers toiled and died were inhumane and exploitive, just like the clip you just seen. And if you went against the corporation because of these working conditions, you see what can happen. All right? But those who stand for righteousness in the kingdom of God have to stand and pronounce the righteous judgments against this place. And when they have the power to execute these judgments, when they have the power to make change, change will be made by the true servants of the Creator. All right? However, they toiled and died under inhumane and exploitive conditions. These conditions had their analog in the industrial process of waste and despoilation, and were the direct cost of the Industrial Revolution. Waste and despoilation. All right? This comes from the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution has begun to destroy this planet. All right? He said it was in the beginnings of it how filthy and how destructive it was to this earth. All right? Today, business people readily concede the abuses of the early days of this revolution, but they do not wholly and genuinely acknowledge the more threatening abuses perpetuated by current practices. Troubling truths lie uneasily within a colossal economic system that denies what we all know while it continues to degrade our world, our society, and our bodies. And our bodies. And he put it this way: what's suppressing our immune system? It's literally industry. It's byproducts, waste, and toxins. They destroying the earth. They destroying the people. They destroying the air. They destroying the inhabitants, just like Isaiah prophesied. And anyone who get in the way of this will be met with hostility. Destroying the earth. All right? Now, we're going to show another clip.
They are America's great coastal estuaries, and they are in peril.
I would put Puget Sound in the intensive care unit. The situation is critical.
The Chesapeake Bay is like the canary in the coal mine. It is an indicator